You've probably heard about sugar, blood glucose, and heard about CGMs. You've probably had some blood tests done. But what if you could see what your glucose, your blood sugar, does in real time? In this video, I'm going to explain about a CGM, a continuous glucose monitor. So by the end of the video, you're going to have a much better idea about what a continuous glucose monitor is and why I am recommending it for people that don't necessarily yet have diabetes. If you don't know me, I'm Dr. Jenny. I've just started this YouTube channel because I felt I wanted to say a little bit more than what I could on Instagram. I enjoy doing silly things on Instagram. So I wanted to still do silly things here, but just do it longer and maybe give you a little bit more information. So, what is a CGM? So, a continuous glucose monitor. It's revolutionary for type 1 diabetics. It's life-saving and life-changing. But here I'm focusing on type 2 diabetics and people that don't yet have diabetes. So, people that have been diagnosed with pre-diabetes, or people that have maybe got insulin resistance, or like me, you have a family history of diabetes, or you are just curious about what your blood sugar does. So a continuous glucose monitor, I should have actually brought one here, but it's a little device, I'll put a photo up, that you put on your arm, and it measures your blood glucose in real time. This is huge because you've probably all gone to the doctor and then they say, okay, let's do a fasting blood glucose. If you are fasting, or maybe they just do a random blood glucose, and then they do a little finger prick, and then there you have your result. Say it's 5.6. That little finger prick, 5.6, is like a photo. It's like one little snapshot of someone, and you don't know the context really. You don't know, was it much higher before? Was it much lower before? It's just a snapshot, which can say something. I mean, I've had patients that come in and then we do the random blood glucose, and then it's like 18, 20, and then that is quite clear. Okay, we are dealing with diabetes or really high blood sugar here. But sometimes you do the little prick and it's, say, 6.5 millimoles per liter. That doesn't really tell us a lot. It can say, okay, you are having maybe a little bit of struggles with your sugar, or maybe it's not. Maybe the person's just eaten. That's why I always had to know, when have you eaten? What have you eaten? I can't really say anything about your finger prick glucose unless it's an extreme high. And of course, if I know what you were eating, or if I know you haven't been eating, okay, I'm going on about that. But that is a photo. A continuous glucose monitor is like watching a video of your blood glucose. So you can actually see it was really low, and then it came really high, and then it went down again. And then you can see, okay, that's the 5.6 that I went to the doctor to test. So a continuous glucose monitor can just tell you so much more. And like I say, yes, it was originally made for diabetics, especially type 1 diabetics, because it's life-changing. They can know when their blood sugar is going really low, which is life-threatening, or really, really high, which is also a problem. But why I found it so revolutionary for non-diabetics is because I was so curious. Like 2-3 years ago, when these things first started coming out, I got one and put one on me and one on my husband, and then eventually put one on a whole bunch of other people as well, because I so enjoyed seeing the result. But what it can tell you is that it can tell you your blood sugar way before you are doing the little finger prick, or even before you do the blood test that's screened for diabetes. So in my case, I have a family history of diabetes. So I was curious to see what my blood glucose would do. I mean, working at the clinic, every now and again, we do my blood glucose, and sometimes it's like a little bit on the high side. So I didn't really know where I stood. Well, I did, but not in this much detail. And then when I wore a continuous glucose monitor, it was such an eye-opener, because some of the foods that I thought was healthy for me weren't actually that healthy, because they made my blood glucose go much higher than what it should. For example, I had this thing, I ate tuna with rice. And I thought that was majorly healthy. I didn't actually particularly like it, but I sort of, it's healthy. And when I saw what that did to my blood glucose, it's almost like, I should rather have enjoyed a chocolate or something, because sometimes the chocolate doesn't even spike my blood glucose as high as what rice does. So that's the thing. It actually tells people, gives them more of a direction. Because, for example, my husband's blood sugar didn't really spike with rice. And I tried all different types of rice. Now I know that I shouldn't have too much rice, which is really, really sad, because sushi is one of my favorite foods. So I mustn't just go on an empty stomach. And with that sushi rice, and they put a bit of sugar in there as well, my blood glucose unfortunately goes really, really high with the rice sushi. Yes, I can. My sister actually has showed me how to make riceless sushi. And it is not a bad compromise, I must say, because you still get the soy sauce and the ginger. So you can make these compromises when you see it. Obviously, you don't have to say, I'll never eat sushi in my life again. Like I've said previously, that just creates the problem. It makes the problem of, if you say absolutely never, it actually makes it bigger and it makes it more difficult to avoid that problem. So where was I now? Okay, it's a video instead of a snapshot. So what the continuous glucose monitor does, it turns the invisible into visible. And why I like doing this, even on people that have good blood glucose regulation, it just creates awareness. You actually see what happens when I eat a bread. It makes it real. It makes what I put into my mouth real. So even if it's just for the awareness, it's already a good thing to see. And what I've said to people, seeing that your blood glucose is good and regulated with what you do is not, it's almost like a disappointment. You wanted to see something or you wanted to find something. But if we are looking, say the person is tired and now they say, okay, let me do a continuous glucose monitor and your blood glucose is fine. It doesn't mean you haven't found anything. It means that your blood glucose is fine. That's a huge thing. Then we can start doing other bloods as well for thyroid function or iron if you haven't done that yet. So what I tell the people is that, especially for people who already have an HbA1c that the doctor says is pre-diabetic, that is an excellent place to be to use a continuous glucose monitor, because then you can actually see how to prevent yourself going to diabetes, and it's preventable. I have had patients that were, I almost want to say diabetic already, like very, very newly type 2 diabetic, and they changed their lives around by changing their lifestyle. And that was from seeing what their glucose is actually doing. It's from becoming aware. If they continue like this, they're going to have full-blown diabetes soon. And they actually got off it and now they're not even on any medication. So it can be done. So what I want to say about HbA1c, that's a very popular and very common screening test for diabetes. So it's HbA1c, it's glycated hemoglobin. So you can imagine it, the hemoglobin in your blood becomes glycated, like almost like crystallized. So it's got sugar on it. So every time your blood sugar goes up, your HbA1c, your HB gets glycated. But that's just technical. But what that measures is your blood glucose over the last 2 to 3 months. Because it takes a while for your blood to change and regulate. So don't think if you've got an HbA1c that's like pre-diabetic levels and you've eaten better for 2 weeks, your HbA1c is still going to show almost the same like it was, because it takes 2 to 3 full months to change. But what I want to say about the HbA1c, it's still a very good test. But 2 people can have the same HbA1c, but their blood glucose on their graphs look very, very different. Some people still look steady, although it's a bit higher, and other people are go really high and really low. And the HbA1c is the same. So those 2 people, I would give different advice to those people. A little bit of a different lifestyle shift or lifestyle changes. So that's why even if your HbA1c is not diabetic levels, it's still interesting to see what a continuous glucose monitor does. Because my thing is, do you wait until you are a diabetic? Because then it's a little bit more difficult for your body to, with the lifestyle changes, because your pancreas is already not secreting enough insulin. I must probably explain this a little bit. So type 1 diabetes and type 2 diabetes is very different. It's not the same thing. And I don't even know why we call it the same thing, probably because it's sort of the same hormones and everything involved. But type 1 diabetics don't have enough insulin. So if they don't get any insulin, their body starves to death because their cells can't use the glucose in their blood. Type 2 diabetics are usually older when they get diagnosed, and they have too much insulin. So a lot of doctors don't test for fasting insulin. And that's actually a very good test to do, because the fasting insulin is going to go up before your HbA1c goes to diabetic levels. So the issue with type 2 diabetes initially is that the insulin is too high. You have too much insulin. So if you have too much insulin, you also can't lose weight, amongst a whole bunch of other things. So it's not only for diabetics, a continuous glucose monitor. It's also for people that want to reverse their pre-diabetes. And that's what I'm so passionate about, because I really, really think by making small lifestyle changes, I'm not saying you can never eat cake again or, do something extreme. And that's the thing. Just with small lifestyle shifts and mindset shifts, you can help if you already have diabetes, you can improve because you can see exactly what you are doing. And if you have pre-diabetes, you can prevent getting diabetes. For me, that is so important. And also because of my own story that I saw on my glucose monitor, if I didn't make small shifts, I would become a diabetic, and I didn't want to become a diabetic just because I've seen what it does to people, not just in patients, but also with my dad and with stroke and infections. Diabetes is not something you want to have. When working at the clinic, diabetes was one of the most difficult diseases, the chronic diseases to have. And then what I do, so how I can help you, and I'm really not a sales pitch person. So me and my sister have created Udemy courses. So the first one is Rewrite Your Sugar Story, because it's not just about what you eat, it's about how you feel about what you eat. Because it's easy to do the diet just for a little bit, but if you don't go a little bit deeper and actually realize, I'm using food as a coping mechanism, or I'm actually feeling guilty about eating this certain food, or if you totally restrict food, it also makes it more difficult. So Rewriting Your Sugar Story is on Udemy, and that's about mindset shifts. The other course we made is called What's My Glucose? So that's also on Udemy, and you're welcome to buy it and go through the course by yourself, and it already gives you a good idea about how to use a continuous glucose monitor. What I'm doing for now is I have a June course coming up, and then an August course coming up, and then I might do it every second month, is I run glucose groups. So how that works is that you get put in a WhatsApp group, and then I give you a voucher for Udemy. So you actually get the Udemy course for free, and then you can go through that. And then on the WhatsApp group, you can post your graphs, and you can even share your graph with me. And then I can tell you, okay, your glucose looks good. Obviously, you can also see it yourself, but sometimes it's nice to have someone confirm, saying, okay, no, that's good. Why don't you try this? I can advise if maybe something like berberine, a supplement, can make your glucose better. And I can even tell you maybe you should consider prescription medication, because that's not a failure, just sometimes your body, that's what it needs. So maybe something like metformin or even Ozempic. And it doesn't have to be chronic, because really small lifestyle changes can make a huge difference. So the group courses, why I have them is because, yes, you can do the Udemy course, but if you're anything like me, sometimes you just lose motivation to finish the course. And if you're in a June group, you basically have June to finish your Udemy course and figure out what your own glucose is doing. So the first week, you don't even have to buy the continuous glucose monitor. You can first watch some of the videos, and then you order your continuous glucose monitor, and then you can put it on. There's videos there to show how to do it, because I think some people are very scared, but it's actually easy to put it on. So if you watch the video, you can see it's not such a big issue. And then once you've looked at the course a bit, I also put some information on the WhatsApp groups. Then we also have 2 live webinars where you can ask questions, where we can look at graphs, and where we can see what is actually happening, so that you can understand your own glucose better. And by seeing someone else's glucose graph, you can also understand that, learn from them, like we learn from each other. And if it's needed, I can even give you a prescription, but that's not part of the group thing, and you can make an online one-on-one consultation. But I just thought I'd share what a continuous glucose monitor is, and if you want to, and if you are curious about it, you can check out our Udemy courses. I'll put the link in the description below, or you can join my June or my August or another month's glucose group program. So I hope you've learned a little bit more about continuous glucose monitors. I see I've just spoken because glucose and continuous glucose monitors is a fun topic for me. Okay, but this is my second YouTube video, so I'm still new to this. They say your first 7 you should actually not even count, you should just do it. So yeah, like and subscribe.